What is up, guys? Welcome on back to the news with TK. And Letitia James was just on a podcast this morning and may have admitted wrongdoing live on the podcast. Like, literally got into details that she specifically is accused of, and documents show she did. Let's roll the intro and then we'll come back. All right, guys. So welcome on back to the news with TK. And so Letitia James was just on a podcast dealing with charges that she had filed against Donald Trump, the judgment where that was at. She didn't sound happy, and she knows that the decision coming from the Supreme Court. I think she knows that she's going to lose that case. But then was smartly asked by this reporter from, I believe, MSNBC is where he works. And she wanted to avoid the question. I think it's hilarious. Roll the clip.
So his investigation, he exaggerated. Let me emphasize that. Exaggerated the value of his assets to the tune of millions and millions, and was able to secure favorable insurance and interest rates.
You mean exactly like you did by claiming that you were a primary resident at the property in Virginia, or claiming that you had 4 units instead of 5 in Brooklyn? I think this is very telling.
As opposed to, and I'm sure Chris will probably get to this, they're claiming that I engaged in mortgage fraud. That I somehow decided that I was a resident of Virginia, which would be some commute every morning to the office at 28 Liberty.
That would be some kind of commute. The problem is you signed a document declaring under penalty of perjury that you were a primary resident there. So
that somehow, I should be held to the same standard as Donald Trump.
You should be held to the same standard as Donald Trump was held to. Remember, it was you and everybody else that said nobody is above the law. And she almost slipped there and almost tried to say that she shouldn't be held. And then she caught herself and said that she should. So what is the problem here?
But somehow what I did was basically similar to what Donald Trump engaged in. And there's just no comparison. The allegations against me are totally baseless. And again, it was based on a 2-year investigation of his assets. And that judgment was issued by a Supreme Court justice. And there was an argument before the First Department Appellate Division, and we are awaiting a decision. I will respond to these baseless allegations at the appropriate time and in the appropriate way. But I am 100% confident that it will not result in any criminal indictment or action against me, and that it is nothing more than a revenge tour, and that Donald Trump just ultimately got to the J's, and I was next.
I mean, I could get it. I could get where you're coming from if you're saying it's a revenge tour. The only difference here is it wasn't Donald Trump that pushed the Department of Justice to do this. It was a federal agency that looks at mortgages, and they saw discrepancies in documents that you filed. Not once, we'll put these up on the screen, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but several times over the last 20 years. So you can't say that the allegations, Miss James, are baseless. They're in black and white. They are affixed with your signature. They are people in your own city going to your building and showing that there's 5 doorbells, 5 meters from the electric company, not 4. as you claim. And I get the, oh, well, somebody lives in 2 units. It doesn't matter. It's still 5 units. You can't get favorable terms on a mortgage. This is exactly what you said. You prosecuted him for getting favorable tax, insurance, and mortgage rates because he inflated or made a different claim about his property. That's exactly what you did. You claimed that you had 4 units when you got 5. You signed, whether or not, and I've seen the stuff from her attorney that goes, oh, in the email, she's definitely not going to be there. But then they were supposed to also be occupied by the people that signed the mortgage. And now it looks like they're both, the property in Virginia is leased out. So, yes, it's mortgage fraud. And you being ultra confident that they'll result in no criminal charges. Yeah, I think somebody's drinking the Delulu juice. To this super liberal reporter's credit, he did question her on the aspect again of the crimes, and this was her response. Let me roll that now.
The key allegation, again, it sounds like you don't want to address them here, but I'm just going to put it out so people understand that a property that was owned in Virginia, and a mortgage that you signed, if I'm not mistaken, for that property, that they say you falsely represented yourself as a resident of Virginia, and that was essentially amounts to mortgage fraud since you're a resident of New York. What is your response to that?
It's baseless. Everybody knows I'm a resident of New York, specifically Brooklyn. And again, we will respond at the appropriate time in the appropriate way to these baseless allegations. And some media outlets like the Daily News over the weekend has indicated as much.
That's all you want to say?
That's all that I'm going to say.
Yeah. If I was caught dead to rights with my signature on multiple documents committing fraud, I'd probably also say, we'll respond at the appropriate time in the appropriate manner. And it looks like Miss Letitia is going to respond in a courtroom as a defendant. May not be wearing an orange jumpsuit, but I'm pretty sure they're going to perp walk her. I mean, if it was me, if I was Trump, and I know how petty I can be, I'm 100% perp walking her. Now, I find it interesting that even friendly media is giving her hard questions. And she doesn't dispute signing these documents. That is where I think she's in trouble, and is also basically an admission of guilt. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments section down below. Let's have a discussion. How long do you think it is before she's either 1, disbarred or 2, criminally charged? Let me know in the comments. Give the video a big thumbs up if you like what we do. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, stay petty, my friends.